The letters G, T and S are normally cause for huge excitement when they're on a Porsche. They mean a sharper drive, more power, something of a junior level GT car. In this case, they're attached to a 718 Boxster.
The 718 Boxster and 718 Cayman are both brilliant cars. They drive better than the cars they replaced as well. They're faster, more efficient, more powerful, more. And that is in part thanks to their 4-cylinder turbocharged engines.
The old Boxster and Cayman GTS had bigger 6-cylinder naturally aspirated motors, where the new GTSs have 2.5-litre turbocharged 4-pots. As such, there's a power boost of up to 35 brake horsepower over the old cars, 15 over the 718 Boxster and Cayman S's. Rocking up at 361 horses and 317 pound-foot, the 718 twins are rather powerful. Each will manage, with a PDK gearbox fitted, to hit 62 miles an hour in 4.1 seconds and will get to 180 miles an hour.
So it's got less engine, more performance, more power and more economy. Porsche reckons you'll get 34.4 mpg out of this thing, but you won't if you drive it as you're supposed to, which is both hard and fast. This being a modern GTS, it does get lots of stuff thrown in, so you get a sport chrono pack and black badging and smoky headlamps and other bits like that. Thing is though, nowadays a GTS is just a trim level. You get more power, sure, it's slightly lower, you get tweaked suspension, but while it's a Porsche, it is still special, but GTS used to mean something more.
Porsche's also fiddled with the engine, which is good because the base 718 Boxster and S sound a bit rough. Have the fixes made things better though? Well,
GTS may be a trim level, but it's important to remember that it's actually a chuffing brilliant trim level. There are many driving modes to choose from. There's a normal one where the motor doesn't sound quite as loud and it's not quite as harsh, and you can quite happily road trip this thing for thousands of miles. It's not as shouty a sports car as you'd think it would be until you twist the dial on the wheel to sport. Then it gets noisier and you go to Sport Plus and the suspension toughens itself up so you can properly hurl this thing around. The way it changes from placid to angry, the way it just does it like that, is just astounding. The car feels totally different from one to the other, and it really allows you to explore what you can do with it. So if you fancy going quickly, you can, just at the flick of a switch. In normal mode, it is perfectly fine. It's just a normal car. However, this thing is all about going quickly and having fun, and it's beautifully set up to do so. The steering it's just amazing. There's so much feedback through it, and you have absolute faith in what the front wheels are doing. You can feel everything, and it's just so precise and so smooth. It's so confidence-inspiring, and there's very little roll to the car. Even in normal mode, it doesn't wallow around anywhere because it's so low and the suspension has been so well sorted. And on top of that, the damping's pretty mega, so it's not too jarring on bumpy roads. That is until you put it into Sport Plus and the springs decide to go into rock hard mode, but that does mean you can go into corners harder and you can go into corners faster. It's a beautifully balanced car, so when you are mid-corner, you can feel where the weight is and you can feel what the car's doing. It can get a little bit mobile if you put the power down too early, or you decide to do something a little stupid. But even when it does that, it's easily controllable thanks to the steering, thanks to the setup. Its chassis is just amazing. This car's fitted with a manual gearbox, a 6-speed manual, and you know what? It's okay. It's not as precise as others out there, but it's still pretty good because it's a manual sports car. I don't know where Porsche gets its brakes from. I don't know what it does to them, but they don't fade, and they are rock solid. They're so easy to modulate. You can stamp on them and stop the thing, or you can modulate them very gently and very easily. They offer so much feel and so much stopping power. They're just phenomenal. There is a downside to it though, and it's the one that everyone says is the downside to it, because it is a big downside. It sounds awful. They've tweaked it over the standard 718 Boxster and Boxster S, but it still doesn't sound very good. And it's such a disappointment. When you're going slowly, it sounds clattery. When you're doing, motorway speeds, it just kind of drones. You only really get the best out of it when you're properly hammering it along, and you can't do that all the time. That's the rub with the 718 Boxster GTS. It is a truly brilliant car. Apart from the noise, that's where it falls flat. And that's one of the biggest reasons for buying a car like this, to get the aural stimulation. That said, you'll be able to outhandle pretty much everything on the road, so no one, in the twisties at least, will be able to keep up with you and tell you that your car sounds a bit naff.